may the force be with you. I don't want to be too corny, but we are developing a stronger sense of subtle forces. We could even make this more practical and talk about human sensitivity to electromagnetic waves. Okay, electromagnetic waves are everywhere, but we don't necessarily notice them. But we may respond to them. If you live under a cell tower, you may be more sensitive to certain types of conditions like cancer, diseases, or whatever. You may actually feel it may give you headaches. You may have problems sleeping because you're actually affected by the electromagnetic waves or low frequency waves, whatever. So in a sense, your body's responding to it, and if you're getting a headache or whatever, in a certain sense, you're perceiving it. So we take this a step further, and basically what we're doing is we're looking at the fact that we have access to greater ability of sense and perception. If I could use the example of a dog, dogs and cats have incredible smell and hearing far beyond the normal human threshold. But there have been humans that have been able to cross a threshold with something like that, the normal human threshold. When we look at being able, super sensitive hearing, super sensitive smell, like a cat or a dog. You might know somebody around your neighborhood that can smell something before everybody else smells it. Okay, pay a little bit more attention to that. It's not just that mundane, or the nigga's not just extra hungry. Maybe he has a really extra sense of smell. Beyond the normal human threshold, and that goes beyond that. I've seen a show where there's like a guy in India that he's not bothered by electricity. He can plug himself up to a lamp and he doesn't fall out and go smoking. He just lights up light bulbs. Okay, but if we look at recent ancient stories from India, Africa, or a lot of indigenous cultures, we see a lot of stories like those where people do superhuman things. Okay, this is why people love Marvel and all those books and movies and books and whatever so much, because it taps into the mystical and mysterious side of the human psyche. But we're also looking at superhuman potential, and people like that. On one side, people think that's unreal, and it's like fantasy, and that's kind of why they like to be blown away. But at the same time, something about it, as crazy as it may be, some part of you that feels like natural or real. Okay, to seem real, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's a lot of what this is dealing with. Giving those practical examples from nature with animals, how birds know how to fly south or north. They have a sense that taps into the magnetic poles. Okay, they have a sense of the weather patterns. Everybody's a lot of people know somebody who's had a cat or a dog, and if you've ever had a heavy storm coming, a tornado, they go crazy and they really sense it. In the tsunami in India, all the elephants and all the animals took off hours before the tsunami came. They were out of there. So this is all real stuff. This is all real stuff. I like to say I'm that good of a script writer, but I'm working on it. So, and that's the amazing thing, that this thing is real, because if you take it seriously and you have that type of mind to investigate this type of material, there's a lot of material out there. This is an excellent one. There's some more I can recommend. We can get into that later. But if you're really serious about this, the other thing is not just a study, but actual practical application. And practical application is could be a range of things, depending on who you are, your background, your proclivities, you know, what you want to do in life. But I would say study your ancestors. You are your ancestors, you know. Study your ancestors. So I was going to go through the chapters. I basically kind of talked about a lot of everything. When we talk about tapping into extra sensory perception, you know, sea life is real amazing too. They got like sonar. You see the hammerhead sharks and sawfish and all that. They have all types of crazy technology, you know. But anyway, being able to tap into extra sensory perception, being able to perceive life and nature from a greater, deeper vantage point, being able to see things on the surface of the same things that you've never seen before, something you've looked at every day in your life. First, you have to start with your mindset. You have to get out of a mindset that only such and such is possible, or such and such only goes by this rules and this structure. You have to realize that we're just people and we only know so much. You know, you're very amazing. You learned a lot, done a lot, but there's a lot more to learn. You know, the tip of the iceberg. So open your mind up to that. Just the main part, open up your mind. There's a lot out of this word when you open up your mind, and that's why the next part, when I talk about the ancestors, getting in tune with who you are, your own personal being and strength. That's how you relate to nature and start interfacing with the black goddess, what some people call nature, or the fabric of the universe, or God, or whatever. The thing that exists in all things that ties all of us together, you know. Like some Jedi speech on Star Wars or something, a Buddhist monk would say, but it's really real though. Yes, the mindset, tuning into some type of practice that grounds you, you know what I'm saying? Analysis of yourself and the world around you, love and respect for all those. Yeah, and a lot of things opened up. So you can get a lot of good information out of this book. Really serious about it, read it. Make it a practice. So that was a review. I hope that was good or informative. Yeah, so we'll do some more stuff. We'll talk about some more stuff. Peace.